Good morning and welcome back to Yarniesville. My name is Kim, also known as Yarning for a Smile, and today we're going to talk about what to do with all of your patterns. I'm going to show you my process, and hopefully it will help you wrangle in some of your madness and get better organized so you can easily search the patterns you have and use them. Okay, so what I use to keep mine organized is I use 3-ring binders. I have one for crochet and I have 2 for knitting. These are 3-inch binders, and these hold all the paper copies of either the ones I get from big box stores, the ones I buy at yarn stores, or ones I've printed off from like a blog in the past it's no longer available or downloadable. If it's downloadable and I can download it currently and put it on a thumb drive, then I don't keep a paper copy of it because there's no point unless it's something that I also have that I've purchased at a yarn store and it's actually something like this. It is one of the harder patterns. I've done this since I started and I understand not everyone's in that position. So you may be looking at a stack of papers of patterns that you just don't know what to do with. I like to use Ravelry to keep them all on there and searchable, and I understand not everyone is on Ravelry, and you can still kind of utilize this process minus the Ravelry part. So what I like to do is get my pile of patterns, and these are all just the crochet ones. I'm going to insert a photo here of all the ones I went through yesterday. So those were just my knit ones. As I went through this process, I'm going to show you with a crochet, and if it was something that I could save to my thumb drive and it was something that I didn't need to keep, basically I'm ditching it and freeing up a lot of space and a lot of headache. Let's talk about the binders. I have my binders set up kind of like how the advanced search is in Ravelry. So this is my knitting binder. I have some information on the front, but when you open it up, I have some more information. I have different needle sizes for the US, metric, and different countries. Then I have some basic and common abbreviation and techniques that I printed off. Some notes I took from podcasts when I first learned to knit and crochet, because that's how I learned to knit and crochet, was through books, magazines, and podcasts. And then I have my actual patterns. So this one only has hat, scarf, and shawls because that's my most knit things, and it takes up the whole 3-inch binder. Crochet is the same way. When I'm going through magazines, if I see something, and I keep my old knitting magazines, but this was actually in a Bible journaling magazine, but I really like the colors that they used in the blanket, so I tore off the page in this little clear sleeve, stick it in here in the information because I want to use that color combo. My thumb drives, I'll pull those 2 up. So my thumb drives on my computer look like these 2 things right here. So I have one for knit and I have one for crochet. When you open them up, they have a folder. That folder has subfolders, and those subfolders have their own separate folders to keep the things organized. So the way my mind works is when I'm looking through patterns, it's kind of set up like the advanced search tool. And so I have all my gloves in one area for crochet, all my hats in one area. Same way with my knitting. I have all my clothing. Then I have it separated for cowls, mittens, hats, scarves, shawls, socks, and then sweaters, shirts, etc. When I come to patterns, and basically what I do is I just take all of my patterns that I haven't gone through, like I said, and I showed the stack earlier of what I did yesterday, and you can do all of these. You can go through and do these to all your patterns, even if you haven't been doing this from the start. Just set some time each day to work on this, and you'll get it done. And then life will be much easier for you to go through and find what you're looking for. So patterns like these, the little tear-offs that you get like at big box stores, usually I just go to the advanced search and I'll just type in the name, pull through wrap. When I pull it up, all you see is the projects. So I would just click this patterns tab and there it is. And I would just click in my library, which I've already done. And I'm only going to click the single pattern because I do not own this whole book. And there it is. I will not have access to it per se through Ravelry, But when I am looking at my patterns and I pull this up and I see this screen, I know that it's either on my thumb drive or it's either in my binder. So the first step for me would be to go to my thumb drive, go to the clothing tab, go to the shawl tab, because I would put this one under a shawl since it's more bigger than just a scarf. And then I would go to the little search bar and I would type in pull through. And it doesn't pop up. So it's obviously not there, and I know to go look for it in my binder. And that's basically how the process works. So let's look at this one right here. And this was a pattern that I purchased a long time ago from Etsy. And I would just type in hooded scarf with ears. And this is the pattern right here that just pulled up. So I can see that's a paid for pattern, but I've already purchased it, so I'm not going to buy it again. So I would just click add to my library, and it's going to ask you, are you sure you own it? I do own it because I know I purchased it. So I would just click yes, I own it. Now I would go over, open a new tab, pull up Etsy because that's where I bought this from. Go to your little avatar, click the down arrow to purchases and reviews. And then in the search, type in what you're looking for. And here it is. So when you look on the right side, it will say download files. So I'm going to go ahead and download those again. Open up my crochet, open up the clothing, and I would just slide these into the scarf section. If they're already in there, it's going to say, do you want to replace it? If it is, I just say yes because I would like to make sure I have the newest version of it. Okay, let's do, this is a crocheted rippled afghan. So I'm just going to look for it. Crochet, classic, ripple. And this one is this pattern right here. So I'm just going to click on that, hit add to my library. Now, if you see, it says for free. So I'm going to click on that because I want to see if I can go ahead and download it. And the reason I want to download it, and ironically, you cannot download it, so I'll actually keep the paper copy of this. But the reason I would like to try to download is because if this person closes their blog, then you're not going to be able to get to that pattern anymore. So this will be an instance where I would want to keep this printed off copy that I have and put it in there. And I know that in the future when I come to this, if I click on this link and it's not there, then it's going to be in my binder or in my thumb drive if I was to save. Here's a Mickey Mouse pattern from, this is probably from 2013. This is called Disney. This person probably no longer has this label or for sale because I'm sure Disney has come after them for actually calling it Disney. Oh, well, here's a project from it. Classic. Yeah, so they've changed it to Classic Mickey Mouse. This was actually published in Disney Crochet book. I'm just going to hit in my library and it's going to pop up, do you own the book or do you just own the single pattern? And I'm just going to add own the single pattern. I actually do own the crochet book kit, but I know I had the single pattern as well. Yes, I own it. Now this is another Etsy purchase, so I can go back. And once you start doing this, it really goes by fast and it doesn't take as long. I'm just going to type in Mickey, and this is where I bought it, July of 2013. And see, the shop is no longer available, so I can't even print that off anymore, unfortunately. So I just go through and do this to every one of my patterns until I get them all done. Once I get them all either in the system as far as on my Ravelry library, on my thumb drive, or that I know I'm going to keep the paper copy, I just put them in a pile, and once we get all these, we'll come back and I'll show you what to do to those. Alright, so I've got all my patterns entered in, either saved to a thumb drive or in my binders. For me, it was easier just to spread everything out as far as my patterns, make separate piles, sort them, and then stick them all in the binder at one time instead of having to switch back and forth. So I did wind up with one crochet binder, and I wound up with two knitting binders. So this is my main one that has got all my hats, shawls, and scarves, and you can see. And then I got another knitting one. This is a 1.5 inch, and it has sock and basically everything else. The thumb drives I like to use are this little Lex gear. I have, again, 6,000 over 6,000 patterns, and it holds them all, knitting and crochet and some cross stitch, but it is getting somewhat full. So I just upgraded to this little thing, and this is a scan disc, and I'll actually link this in the description of my video. And the reason I got this one is because if I push it this way, it's a type C port that hooks up to my Mac. If I push it this way, it's a USB port that can hook up to my Windows-based computer. So this one was about $28 on Amazon. Like I said, I'll link it below. It is kind of small, but I do have a small bag that I keep all of my Mac accessories in, so all of my extra cords, and it's just going to live in there. So I hope this process has helped you in some way get ideas on how to organize your patterns. I hope it inspires you to use them. If you have any questions or comments, as always, please leave them down below. I will do my best to answer them, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Happy yarning. Okay, so let's do a little quick how to make your folders for your thumb drive. You can do this on your PC, or you can do it actually once you open up your thumb drive. You just want to right click on your screen on your PC or Windows computer and click new folder. And I'm going to name this one knitting, and then I'm going to do it again and do one for crochet if you need a crochet one. Crochet 2. So what you want to do is click on them individually and then repeat the process. Inside that screen, create a new folder, clothing, click on that one, create a new folder, socks, new folder, sweaters, new folder, shawls, and just keep repeating the process. So that way when you transfer your patterns, you can already have folders set up to put them in.